There's a photo I keep coming back to. On one side, a model from the 1960s, wrapped in a perfectly tailored Loewe coat. Old money, old Spain, all quiet elegance. On the other, a look from 2024, designed by Jonathan Anderson. It's odd, asymmetric, almost awkward, but magnetic. Somehow, these two pieces, separated by decades, by eras, feel connected. And that's where the mystery begins. How did Loewe transform from a nearly forgotten Spanish heritage brand into the most talked about, most unpredictable, and most impossibly cool name in fashion? How did it go from classic leather goods and royal clients to viral moments, balloon heels, and some of the most conceptual runway moments in the history? And more importantly, who was behind this transformation? What decisions were made, what codes were rewritten, and what pieces marked the real turning points? What's hiding behind Jonathan Anderson's approach that made the fashion world shift not just once, but over and over again? Hey guys, my name is Anna, and in this video, I'm taking you through the evolution of Loewe. Not just the obvious highlights, but the deeper story. What was the brand like before Jonathan Anderson arrived? What were the early clues that things were changing? And how did he make even the strangest ideas feel not only wearable, but desirable? We'll uncover the influence Jonathan Anderson has had on fashion, the way he bent traditional silhouettes into something emotional, strange, and beautiful, and how piece by piece, season by season, Loewe became a symbol of fashion's new direction. And now that he's left, the biggest question of all is, what's next? Who steps in now, and what kind of vision will it take to continue a legacy built on transformation and surprise? There's a lot to uncover, so let's start at the beginning. It's always interesting when you start digging into the story behind things everyone suddenly wants. The bags, the clothes, the campaigns, all of it starts somewhere. And when it comes to the world's biggest fashion houses, there is something crucial that often gets overlooked: their origin story. According to Jonathan Anderson himself, there is a kind of invisible divide in fashion. On one side, you've got houses like Chanel, Dior, Saint Laurent. They're built on the personal vision of their founders. The name is the brand. It's all about couture, elegance, and the artistic interpretation of luxury. And then there's the other group: Louis Vuitton, Hermes, Gucci, Fendi, and so on. These brands didn't begin with runway fantasies. They started with craft, with leather, and with mastery of technique. Think of the Louis Vuitton iconic trunk from the 19th century and of Hermes harnesses. Loewe belongs to that second camp, and it's something I'm quietly proud of. It's a Spanish brand that was originally founded by a German craftsman, Enrique Loewe Rosberg, who moved to Madrid in 1872. And that's where the name comes from. Here in Spain, we say Loewe, and outside you might hear Loewe, but either way, the story begins with leather. And for a long time, that was it. Loewe was known for its precise, almost obsessive treatment of leather. The Spanish royal family were loyal customers. The brand had the quiet confidence of old money, subtle, niche, and never loud. Until 1965, Loewe was barely even known outside of Spain. That year, they launched their first ready-to-wear collection, but even that didn't make much noise. Then came 1975, and with it, the Amazona bag. That changed things. Suddenly, people outside of Spain began to notice. LVMH noticed too. And if there's one thing we know about LVMH, is that they specialize in turning sleeping giants into global stars. They buy these heritage brands, polish them, and launch them into the mainstream. But strangely, it didn't work. Not with Loewe. For years, it remained one of the quietest, least profitable houses in the entire LVMH portfolio. Designers came and went, collections were good, well-made, and tasteful, but they didn't make anyone feel anything. Loewe was still respected, sure, but it wasn't cool. Not until 2013. That's when Jonathan Anderson stepped in, and this is where everything shifts. Because from that moment on, the story of Loewe takes a completely new turn. A turn no one saw coming. Let's take a look at the man behind this transformation. Who is Jonathan Anderson? How did this quiet, brilliant man go from a small Northern Irish town to reviving one of the oldest luxury brands in Europe? He wasn't exactly born into fashion. His hometown had nothing to do with it. Not the runways, not the glamour, not even the energy of a big city. He was also dyslexic as a kid. Reading and writing came slower than for others. But something about that early challenge, seems to have trained a kind of sharpness in him, a way of noticing noticing what others miss completely, a need to express something, but differently. Not with words, but with form and material. He grew up between two completely opposite places. Northern Ireland, quiet and reserved, and Ibiza, wild and sun-drenched, where his parents had a house. That tension between the restraint and Spanish openness is still everywhere in his work. Even now, Loewe often feels like the perfect wardrobe for the Balearic Islands. Crisp but relaxed, tailored but soft, modern but rooted in something much older. It's not just a Spanish brand by name, but it feels innately Spanish in the most soulful way. At 18, Anderson left for New York, chasing an acting career. He studied at Juilliard, which sounds cinematic, but instead of performing, he got drawn to costume design. He dropped out, left New York, and moved to Dublin. His first real fashion job was working the floor at Brown Thomas, a department store. After that, London. He graduated from the London College of Fashion in 2005. Just 3 years later, he launched his own brand, J.W. Anderson. Just menswear at first, but the collection didn't play it safe. One of his early pieces, a dramatic necklace, ended up on the cover of Vogue Italia Beauty. It was unique and original, so of course people took notice. By 2010, he was designing women's wear too, and by 2011, J.W. Anderson was already being stocked at Selfridges. The momentum didn't stop, and neither did he. Next year, he collaborated with Topshop, which was the moment for any up-and-coming designer. The collection, unusual and fun, filled with unexpected references like Rubik's Cubes and Halloween prints, sold out almost instantly. Before the first drop even finished, they signed him for a second one. That same year, he released a menswear collection that sparked real controversy and admiration. It was unapologetically androgynous. Fluid silhouettes, short shorts, delicate fabrics, all modeled on men. And remember, this was before Gucci and Balenciaga started doing this. Anderson was ahead of the curve, pushing that boundary just as the fashion industry was beginning to loosen its grip on traditional gender lines. And he once said,
"I find it very difficult to see the boundary between women's wear and menswear. It's bizarre the ways in which society reacts. They find it difficult to comprehend seeing parts of the body on a man. I think it's fascinating."
So essentially to him, fashion is just fashion. You're the one who decides what to wear. No male, no female, just shape, feeling, and attraction. His brand was becoming known not only for its bold ideas, but for this grounded, philosophical core underneath. He wasn't just provoking for the sake of it. He was building a new way of seeing clothes. Donatella Versace tapped him to design for Versus, replacing Christopher Kane. And that same year, in what felt like a worldwide move, LVMH bought a minority stake in J.W. Anderson and appointed him as the new creative director of Loewe. Nobody saw it coming. And frankly, it didn't make much sense. J.W. Anderson, the guy with the androgynous silhouettes, the Halloween Topshop collab, the quietly unique energy, now at the helm of Loewe, a brand known for dignified leather goods and conservative luxury? People were confused, and not in a maybe it will work way, more like, what are they thinking? LVMH was taking a risk, but they were also betting on something bigger, that Anderson could do what no one else had done before, not just modernize Loewe, but resurrect it. And somehow, he did. No one could have predicted that the marriage of Jonathan Anderson and Loewe would turn out to be this extraordinary. Yet, here we are. Even his first men's collection for the house in spring-summer 2015 hit all the right notes. He didn't just change Loewe, he completely reimagined it. The logo was new, the aesthetic was fresh, the energy was different. That same year, Jonathan Anderson made history at the British Fashion Awards by becoming the first designer to win both the menswear and the women's wear Designer of the Year award in the same year, a distinction that remains unmatched to this day. And what's even more curious is how he managed to accomplish this while still running his own brand. A role as demanding as Loewe's creative director would be enough to consume anyone's time. time. And yet Anderson juggled both his own label and Loewe. Few designers have ever succeeded in balancing such a feat. The likes of Karl Lagerfeld, Marc Jacobs, and Galliano managed it, and so did Anderson. And there's a subtle but unmistakable link between his collections for both labels. Loewe may have been transformed under his watch, but Anderson also borrowed Loewe's iconic leather techniques, bringing them into his own work. Think about the J.W. Anderson bucket bag, the one that became a must-have for everyone, or the logo bag that seemed to be everywhere, or the Pierce bag that defined a particular fashion week moment. And then there's this keyring, an accessory that let you choose your own design and color, something so simple yet so iconic. And let's not forget the loafers with the oversized golden chain. 5 years ago, they were literally everywhere. And then, in the middle of the pandemic, something else happened. Harry Styles was spotted rehearsing in a patchwork cardigan by J.W. Anderson. It wasn't just a cardigan, it was a cultural phenomenon. Fans on social media began recreating it on their own. And instead of shutting them down, J.W. Anderson leaned in. They released a tutorial on YouTube giving everyone the chance to make their own version. And in doing so, they invited the public into their creative process. It wasn't just about selling their product. It was about building a connection, a moment of intimacy with the audience. And then there was the pigeon clutch. You know which one. It became a viral sensation after being featured in Sex and the City, and just like that. J.W. Anderson has this unique ability for creating pop culture moments that stick. His designs often end up being part of what defines a particular time or trend. By 2019, Anderson was creating 18 collections each year, 6 for his own brand, 10 for Loewe, and 2 for his collaborations with Uniqlo. He even partnered with Converse, twisting their iconic silhouettes into something entirely new. In all these examples, you see the same theme. Anderson somehow balanced it all, but it wasn't just about creating products. It was about shaping a narrative, and through his unique blend of past and present, tradition and innovation, he created something unforgettable, something that defied expectations, and something no one saw coming. So with Loewe, from the very start, it was clear that something different was unfolding. In 2015, the iconic puzzle bag arrived. Everyone and their mother was obsessed with it. Everyone still is. Super popular, incredibly original, and comfortable. And the large leather trim basket tote in beige was the ultimate summer essential. Even when they changed the logo, it still felt impossibly cool and fresh. But there was always the question, how do you make this better? Then came the pandemic. Many brands struggled, and Loewe was no exception. Sales dropped, the world changed. But Jonathan Anderson didn't just sit back. He saw what was happening in the industry. Balenciaga was making waves, and Prada was transforming under Raf Simons. He knew something had to change, or Loewe would risk fading into the background. At that moment, the stakes were high. If they didn't take risks, everything could unravel. So he decided to push things even further. By 2022, everything shifted. Spring-summer wasn't just a collection. It was a dramatic change. The contrast between what came before and what followed was striking. Everything was new. Forms, shapes, and materials. It wasn't a new direction, it was a revolution. Loewe didn't just catch attention, it captured the fashion world, and it all felt like an overnight success. For this collection, Anderson drew inspiration from a radically unconventional source, Jacopo da Pontormo, an Italian Renaissance painter who refused to follow the traditional rules of his time. While other artists stuck to realism, Pontormo distorted reality, creating emotionally charged works with exaggerated forms and vivid, hyperreal colors. He wasn't just interested in mimicking life, he wanted to reshape it entirely. And that was exactly what Anderson brought to Loewe. He didn't directly copy Pontormo's art, he captured the spirit of it and reinterpreted it for the present day. It wasn't about imitation, it was about transformation, and it worked. Critics and fashion enthusiasts alike couldn't get enough of it. Then came Fall-Winter 2022. 2022, Anderson kept the momentum going. A dress shaped like a car? How's that for unexpected? Balloons became a central theme. Bras, dresses, accessories, all on the edge of bursting, creating a playful, tense energy. But Anderson didn't stray from Loewe's essence. He didn't abandon the brand's signature leather. Instead, he reinvented it, fresh, modern, and bold, yet unmistakably Loewe. For spring-summer 2023, Anderson tackled florals. It could have been just another groundbreaking idea, but instead, he created something fresh. The lace-leaf flower became the brand's signature, now synonymous with Loewe. You see that flower, whether on a dress, bag, or sandal, and you know exactly what it is. It's simple, unique, and iconic. And then the Pixel Capsule Collection for Spring-Summer 23 arrived. A nod to the video games many of us grew up with, Anderson captured that nostalgia in a way that felt both modern and personal. The designs were so tactile, you couldn't help but wonder what those pixelated bands would feel like. Anderson explained that after the pandemic, everything became virtual, but he wanted to bring that virtual world into reality, making it tangible. It was a statement that resonated, especially on TikTok, where the collection quickly became a viral sensation. There's something so natural about how each piece gets its own following, its own fan who shares it on social media and then spreads the word. And before you know it, Loewe has captured everyone's attention. Even Marc Jacobs shared it on his Instagram, showing off a Loewe piece alongside his husband, proof of just how effortlessly cool and universal the brand has become. And let's talk about the Loewe balloon shoes that made their way down the runway. They weren't just a throwback to previous years. They were a reimagining of that motif, reintroduced in the most unexpected and playful way. But the balloon shoes weren't the only viral sensation. Loewe's Minnie Mouse shoes with their impossibly unique shape were some of the hottest and most talked about footwear of 2023. They sold out so fast you couldn't get them anywhere. Other brands started drawing inspiration from Loewe's unique vision, creating their own pieces that pushed boundaries. But none of them quite had the same magic. Then came the Fall-Winter 2023 collection. It had these cool dynamic dresses with prints that spoke volumes. Before I dive into the concept, take a second, pause this video and tell me in the comments, what do you think these dresses represent? No cheating. So here's the thing. The dresses were a commentary on how we see garments online, that fast-paced, swipe right and left culture we live in. These dresses were intentionally blurred, creating the feeling that you were swiping past them in an online store. It was a playful yet critical take on our obsession with instant gratification and how we shop online with little thought, just swiping through everything. Isn't it genius to turn that fast consumer culture into something that actually critiques itself while also creating something so visually interesting? What's your take on it? And of course, the iconic rigid doll dresses made another appearance. These exaggerated sculptural silhouettes continued the playful doll aesthetic, and they work perfectly with the Barbie core trend that year. Loewe was having fun, but it wasn't just about fun. It was about creating pieces that felt unique, experimental, and completely unlike anything else. By spring-summer 2024, Loewe took a different turn. It was a year of paring things down, of reducing fashion to its purest form, the silhouette. The cardigans, the coats, they were pieces of art. It was sleek, it was modern, and it made you rethink the entire concept of what fashion could be. Textures and leather were still very much present, but now they existed in dynamic, fluid forms. It felt like Loewe was on the edge, ready to redefine everything once again. And let's not forget that in 2024, Loewe's tomato bag appeared. The world couldn't get enough of it. There was something so undeniably Loewe about it. The red beefsteak tomato, plump and rich in color, representing the brand's connection to Spain, as there is nothing more Spanish than tomatito con aceite de oliva extra virgen, of course. It was almost as if the brand has distilled the essence of Spanish culinary culture into something that could be worn and carried. Nothing was more iconic, and like everything Loewe does, it wasn't just a bag. It was a story, an idea, and a statement. Loewe's Spring-Summer 25 collection feels like stepping into a hidden garden. where fashion and nature intertwine seamlessly. Jonathan Anderson's vision for this season is rooted in the art of reduction, stripping away the unnecessary, allowing the essence of each piece to speak for itself. Soft, flowing silhouettes glide across the body, while earthy leathers and delicate silks evoke the rugged Spanish landscape with refined elegance. Key pieces like the elongated Oxfords and the Madrid and featherlight puzzle bags embody this quiet sophistication. And then, just months later, Loewe's Fall/Winter 25 collection emerges with an entirely different energy. This collection introduces key items like draped dresses and stylish coats that elevate Loewe's vision of abstract luxury. With the recent confirmation of Jonathan Anderson's upcoming move to Dior menswear, Loewe's Fall/Winter 2025 collection feels like a reflective farewell, encapsulating his creative legacy in a deeply personal statement. Over the years, Anderson has transformed Loewe into a beacon of bold, conceptual design where fashion and art collide in unexpected ways. And let's not forget about Loewe's perfumes. They're a whole different dimension to the brand, a daring exploration into raw, natural elements that pull you into a multi-sensory journey. When you walk into the Loewe store, you're not just entering a space, you're stepping into a world that feels alive and organic as the fragrances themselves. The store feels like a living, breathing fairy tale, each fragrance inspired by nature's rawest form. It's not just about scents, it's about emotions, tomato, mushrooms, and even the earthiness of nature captured in liquid form. Each scent speaking to a part of nature that's been translated into a rare, unforgettable experience. What's even more intriguing is that some of these creations are exclusive to the city of Madrid, making the experience even more personal. There are fragrances named after the very streets you walk on in the city, an homage to the places, moments, and emotions that shape the heart of Madrid. It's a piece of the city you can take with you, almost like carrying a memory in a bottle. Loewe under Anderson has cultivated a unique space where textile, sculpture, and architecture blend effortlessly, where clothes become objects of art. Whoever takes the helm will inherit a brand that is synonymous with subversive luxury. They will have big shoes to fill, shoes that carry not only the weight of Loewe's storied past, but the audacious vision Anderson has crafted over the past decade. The real question is, how will they build upon this foundation? Will they push the envelope even further? Or will they inject a new sense of accessibility and innovation? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. Loewe's next chapter is bound to be as unpredictable and thrilling as the men who made it a stage for his creative revolution. So let me know down in the comments, what do you think Loewe's next chapter will look like? I would love to hear your thoughts and predictions, and in a few years you can come back to this video and see who was right. So I hope you enjoyed diving into Loewe's world with me. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, follow me for more, and subscribe if you haven't already so you never miss out on new content. And of course, turn on notifications, that's important. Don't forget to check out my TikTok and Instagram for more behind the scenes and exclusive content. And of course, leave a comment below with your thoughts on the collections and Loewe's incredible perfumes. If you have a perfume by Loewe, I would love to hear your opinion as well. And thanks a lot for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.